Everyone. Today we will talk about sexual immorality in our society as a result of the influence of media. The rampant implication of media being what promotes sexual immorality. Is it the mass media's fault? Or is it the lack of media literacy of the people? What caused this pandemic? The Mediterranean Journal of Social Sciences research on moral implication of social media phenomenon refers to morality as a principle of right or wrong behavior. It has its etymological origin from the Latin word mors, meaning conduct or custom. It was therefore noted that morality is used to denote a generally accepted code of conduct in a society that comes to be regarded as an essential for its survival and welfare. An article from a book written by Carrie W. Gateway on modern practices of sexual immorality. He defines sexual immorality in the 21st century into trends such as non-marital sexuality, extramarital sexual relationships, and homosexual community, and was later believed by the earlier mentioned research that such practices are fueled by the easy access of internet content by the youth. Sexual immorality in our society is a result of the influence of media for the three reasons. First, mass media is found to be a main source of sexuality, explicit materials. Secondly, the perception of people's sexual attitudes and behaviors are shaped by the misconceptions and wrong information caused by media. And lastly, the number of influential people in media that perpetuate the wrong advocacy. Moral implication of social media phenomenon aims to determine the relationship between mass media and sexual behavior. The respondents from the research considers the internet to be a source of sexually implicit materials to have an effect on social behaviors. This calls for concern because the internet and the mass media may be the sources of first impressions and ongoing perceptions that are critical for the development of a young person's sexual attitudes, expectations, and behaviors. The Department of Region and Cultural Studies from the University of Nigeria, Professor Nekji, concludes that if a young person's initial exploration of sex happen in the context of one online marketplace, it will be difficult for them to develop healthy concepts of their own sexuality. Young adolescents are shaped by their experiences, and such practices are fueled by the easy access of internet content. In this regard, it is critical to view the internet as a new social environment which universal adolescent issues pertaining to identity formation, sexuality, and self worth are explored in this platform. Easy and continuous access to the internet provides tremendous opportunities for adolescent socialization, allowing them to connect with their peers as well as with complete strangers from across the world. Clearly, the internet is transforming the social world of adolescents by influencing how they communicate, establish and maintain relationships, and find social support. Therefore, it is essential to gain awareness of both the potential benefits and risk of teen internet use and provide strategies to present new ideas which turn may influence an adolescent's development of values and perception of healthy sexual relationships. The sexually explicit information found in the internet is often lacks descriptions of intimacy or the development of deep personal relationships. Rather, it encourages sexual acts without any emotional connection, which in return may begin to shape a person's sexual values, attitudes, and behaviors that consequently may interfere with healthy and sexual development. Aja and Aduli observed that one of the many breakthroughs in information and communication technology in the 21st century was the discovery and emergence of new media, which have facilitated the creation of different platforms for social interaction. People's sexual attitudes and behaviors are shaped by the misconceptions and wrong information depicted by media. For instance, sex and violence play a prominent role in films and televisions and any form of other media, as it both sells and attracts audience that translate into cash. Drive it is what drives and spans acceptance of this powerful media. This media has been accused of tragic consequence to remake society. Violence on TV causes children to be more aggressive. Video games can also do the same, which later lead a violent persona in later life. This continuous portrayal of proximity as exciting as adultery and natural divorce as acceptable plays powerful role in molding attitudes and behavior which have a devastating effect to our moral values. The number of influential people in media also help perpetuate these endeavors, for the wrong advocacy about sexual immorality is very abundant. A fantastical and symbolical had of fundamental quest for identity, purpose, and meaning is greatly influenced by these people behind mass media. A-list actors and actresses, celebrities are everywhere in media. They impact culture and society, especially on young people. These factors are what mold people to become the future of this nation. Romanticizing non-marital sexuality, extramarital or sexual relationships, and homosexual community shows that youth view as something that is okay. But it's also important we consider education as what greatly affects the youth's perception of media. Education is becoming unnecessary, especially in post primary levels of our educational system. A healthy dose of media consumption for the youth will certainly remedy the negative consequences brought by sexual immorality as induced by the media. Media has provocated the fact that different platforms are open to expression and has used this as a medium to exploit sexual activities. It is time for the relevant authorities to act and promptly find a long lasting problem to this pandemic. In conclusion, in the same vein, a wake up call for educators for media education is crucial to have a however the use of which means enables the propagation of ignorance, lack of education which promotes the descendances of morality within our society and it is the greedy rulers which encourage insolent behavior. In conclusion, what perpetuates a system of sexual immorality in our society is media being the source of all of this content mostly. Secondly, is how the people's perceptions are molded by the explicit misconceptions guided by media, and the number of influential people in media that perpetuate the wrong advocacy. But let us also put into consideration the other factors that come into play when talking about sexual immorality as depicted by the influence of media. Thank you, everyone.